I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life. Project Reclamation, private record. Welcome to the dark side.
The dark side. B-side tracks.
B-sides.
Oh, man.
B-sides.
For you guys that don't remember what B-sides were, just the stuff on your iPod shuffle that you don't like necessarily skip through, or that you skip through, but now you've listened to everything good, and now you have to go back and listen to this stuff, and then this is the crap.
Were B-sides from back when, like, with cassettes, when you had to actually flip it to the B-side?
Yeah, or no, B-sides is a record, and then you would, all your A-side, I guess, had all the sweet stuff.
And the B-side was, like, all the extra recordings?
Yeah, maybe not the stuff that really, really was, like, that hot, that was gonna, like, make it, right? You know? But anyways, we were just discussing, we were getting in a heated exchange. Oh, our fisticuffs. We were about to go to blows here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but to have a disagreement, that would mean that one of us has to know what we're talking about.
That's true.
We clearly do not on this topic.
So what? I don't even know what started it. It was obviously, we're talking about the princesses.
I have a coffee cup.
Yeah.
With Grumpy Dwarf on it.
Grumpy Dwarf. And then it says, inside, beneath his grumpy exterior beats the heart of a dashing hero. And I said, well, what was Grumpy's, like, how was he a hero? Like, did he save Snow White?
I don't know.
And then what was, like, I don't even remember the preface of what the story was. She lived with 7 dwarves? Like, that was her punishment? Like, it seemed like the dwarves did everything.
I think she escaped from somewhere, and then we don't know.
I know.
we need to call
to the dozens and dozens of
little
listeners.
Frick.
No. Well, let's see. This is part of the power of Project Reclamation. We're going to like literally like drunk history. We're literally going to recreate these stories.
So Snow White, she was this white chick.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
She broke up with this guy who drove like a muscle car.
Okay. I didn't know they had cars back then.
No. This is like the modern day.
I know. This is me responding to your modern day thing.
The modern day reprise.
They actually had, what's her name? The girl that like always looks like she's like biting her bottom lip and always confused or confounded. Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart. She played Snow White in the Seven Dwarfsmen.
I was going to say either her or the daughter from 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Kat Denning.
Yeah. Except that would be she'd have all these like witty comments for like the dwarfs.
Kat Denning is too chesty up in front to be in a Disney movie, I swear. She is too, they would have to CGI those things like smaller, I swear.
Whatever.
But anyways, but enough about that. But yes.
Or Christina Ricci if it was made like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But her forehead is just her forehead is the character. And the rest of her is like the backup dancer.
Are you saying she has a Ted head?
She has a huge forehead. I mean, I'm not trying to like bag on her. Trust me, Christina Ricci, I respect you. Your game is good. Like obviously you've made 1 or 2 or 3 movies. That's more than people could ever make in their whole life.
The only one I know is The Addams Family.
No, there's one, Penelope. There was one, it was like a I saw it on Netflix for like 3 minutes. I couldn't watch the whole thing. But apparently it was about a girl with a pig nose or something like that. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, and how she was being treated differently and stuff like that. But I will tell you that, I mean, dude, respect.
I'd still be friends with you if you had a pig nose, Steve.
Well, you should be. We got a lot of time underneath our belts.
Yeah.
But for Christina Ricci's character, I mean, why not? I don't know anything about her. But regardless, let's see. There was Ariel. Like we said, lived in the ocean. That was easy.
Well,
she has
easy.
red hair.
She had red hair.
Super easy to spot out.
She had the funny the singing crab and like the funny seagull and the giant tower that looked like a penis.
What was that?
Oh, I'm sure they got rid of it now, but I remember
that was
there's
Ariel?
all the like. There's all the creepy sexual undertone things to some of the Disney stuff.
Yeah,
there was that one like
I totally forgot about that
phallic tower. It was on like the cover art of the DVD, and it was this one tower. And I'm not even saying it was like phallic in nature. It was like It was a dick.
And no one had spotted that during all of
I mean,
Disney's,
I could Google it right now and show it to you.
Disney's to
the Google machine.
To the Googles. There's Mulan, but that was easy because that's Chinese. Like, there's only one Chinese.
Was that the name of her? Was her name Mulan?
Yeah.
Well, we all know Jasmine.
But that's
Latin. Easy too.
Dude, that was easy. That was way easy.
Yeah.
But all the white girls get mixed up.
Dude, like, I don't know any
Snow White, Cinderella,
and Sleeping Beauty.
And
Aurora, was that her name?
Who's Aurora?
I think Aurora was Sleeping Beauty's actual name.
Oh, did they not just go by Sleeping Beauty?
Well, I think she had a real name. I think it was Aurora.
And there's Black Beauty, but that was a horse.
There's Black Stallion.
There's Black Stallion for sure.
And then there's Black Pete.
Oh, for holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Norwegian, the Scandinavian racist. I would understand.
It's not necessarily it became racist. Although
it became racist because maybe at that time there weren't too many African people of African descent maybe in that part of the country, and so you had to just naturally right or wrong back then. Those were just the times, and I'm not saying it's successful now, but like you had to just kind of make yourself into whatever it was. That's what people did. That's what white actors did when in the 40s or 50s, like during American cinema,
also,
when they made themselves
Scandinavian countries. Like, I don't even know if there was a black person in those areas back in the.
What's his name? Black Peter. It was Black Peter, right?
So yeah, but it's kind of started. It stems from something else, and it's essentially he's Santa's helper, but also like he's the one who drags the kids. He's the one that drags the bad kids away.
Oh,
he deals with the bad kids. He kind of has the same role as Krampus does in other lore. Now, allegedly, Saint Nicholas, who was a huge anti-Semite, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, there's a long story.
He's like a real person.
He was a real person. He was in like 200 and something BC or no AD, but he was a huge anti-Semite. He called the Jews the children of the devil.
Interesting.
And then he got canonized as a saint later on, but his bones were kept at some church. Then at some point, his bones were stolen from the church by pirates, and they were taken to some cult, and then they worshipped this witch that flew on her broomstick through the sky, and then they ousted this witch. They brought in Saint Nicholas, and there was literally the cult of Saint Nicholas for a long time. And then that is where that somehow morphed into something else, which morphed into Santa Claus, kind of made popular by Charles Dickens and some dude who went under a pen name, and he wrote all those a bunch of different stories. I can't remember it right now. Anyways, I'll figure it out. And then the Santa Claus that we look at now. Shut up!
I think Santa might be coming down right now.
The Santa Claus that we look at now, he is basically the
morph of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Coca-Cola basically created the modern day Santa Claus.
You know what's so funny is that.
But hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. So there's some part of the story that I missed where Saint Nicholas essentially captures the devil and turns him into a slave.
That's Good for you, Saint Nicholas, for making up for all that anti-Semitism?
So that's kind of where the Krampus thing comes into play, but that's also possibly the Black Pete thing, because Black Pete wasn't necessarily an African American at the onset. It's possible, from what I've studied, nobody really knows, but it could have been the whole, like, he was a dark figure because it was literally the devil that got dragged out of hell and made to be Santa's servant. So he was kind of black as in burned. Not as in not like a black person necessarily, but it's all up to debate.
In my thinking, I thought it was like his helper, like modern day Rudolph would be like Santa's helper.
It kind of depends.
I thought it'd been like an elf or something. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Should we be talking about this on our next episode?
Maybe, but we're on a hot take right now, man. I don't want to stop this train.
There's the whole mushroom theory, but I won't go into that right now.
Mushroom. Here's what it is. When you told me that whole story about Saint Nicholas's bones and everything like that, I was like, man, Tim is on one right now. Tim has done a little too much of the opium or the peyote and decided to get on this podcast.
It's called Bulletproof Coffee, brother.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Bammo. Wait, was it bullet and in coffee, like an Irish coffee? Bullet bourbon?
No, Bulletproof Coffee. It's when you put butter or coconut oil in coffee.
There's
something about the fat makes it really opens up the caffeine receptors and it makes you all jazzy.
How interesting. No, the only reason why I say it like that though is that, you know what? the most modern stuff that we have nowadays, if you trace it back, has like the craziest of origins, right? And that's not just like, oh, Saint Nicholas or something like that. I swear, like, it's like, I feel like that's been more of the stories, like, for more things than not. And so it's just like, it's too much. But I will tell you that, like, yeah, we celebrate it now, and we're like, yeah, everything's great, everything's PC. But, like, probably, if you look back on it, they don't necessarily have the most PC of origins, and, like, that's the craziest thing. So, I don't know, bro. The only thing I'll tell you is that I don't know of too many, those little, what do they call those things? Too many of the princesses. I don't know of too many of the fairy tales.
Look kind of directly in the middle.
I'm looking for the penis thing here. Oh, dick. No, not really.
And like, I mean, it's not even like it kind of maybe. It's like completely, absolutely.
Are you talking about this thing?
The little one right in the middle. Here, hold on.
You know, I'm almost like tempted to say like,
look at that.
Oh. Yeah. Here's what it is, y'all, and I'm being serious, and I'm not trying to be I just, when I see stuff like that, I'm not necessarily looking for it. So I think, just the gold tower in the middle of Ursula and King Poseidon or whatever.
I didn't notice it until someone pointed it out to me.
Yeah. I don't think I like look for stuff like that.
No, and I'm sure, dude, it's some graphic designer that works at Disney that's like after production or whatever. And either like maybe he was just bored, maybe he thought it was funny, or maybe he was about to get canned.
Yeah, and then he's like,
maybe he was just angry and mad because of whatever, and he's like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to put penis on the castle. I don't know, man. But still, I get all the white ones confused. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Sometimes I just think to myself, like, there are some people who like see in it what they want to see in it, and I'm like, oh, could that have been a penis? Sure, probably. If you tilt it to the side.
But honestly, that one's pretty obvious.
I guess, but when I look at it as a whole, like when I'm standing back on it, yeah, is there a little swirl that represents the corona? Oh, yeah, sure.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
So like next time I'm sipping on a corona, it's kind of like putting a penis in my mouth?
No, I just think it's like for the crown, right? You know? And it's like Coronado, like we live out here, and it means like the crown jewel or something like that, you know?
Corona just basically mean crown in Spanish?
Yeah. Or Coronado, I don't know. Coronado, I mean, but like Corona, it all has the base root of like head or like, you know, the crown or something.
Heavy
like that.
Is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah,
Steve.
So you're just like, okay.
It's lonely at the top.
But I don't necessarily like see all that stuff sometimes. I mean, maybe I'm blind to the perverted world that exists underneath
I think that's kind of the point, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if it was too obvious, it's like, oh, there's a fucking penis right there.
Yeah, the white chicks, I don't know the difference.
Yeah, but I think you like memorize, or you are familiar with women of color, princesses of color, because
there's one of each.
Yeah, but you know what's so sad?
There's Pocahontas, there's Jasmine.
Yeah, but there's not even like a Native American dude in that. No, there's a Native American dude in that film, but he's not the leading role. It's John Smith, and you're like, meh, okay. And then even in Mulan, no, that dude's a Chinese dude. I think that she likes the general.
I don't know.
Li Shang.
Fairly certain that none of the people in Aladdin were of anything other than just white descent.
Well, no, I mean Aladdin he was Indian. I assume
the guy who played Aladdin.
Yeah,
no, the guy who played Aladdin was DJ's boyfriend from Full House.
What? Oh, the voiceover.
Yeah.
No. I'm just the character.
You're talking about the actual character.
The actual look of the character.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They all were.
I mean, that's important.
The Sultan looked strangely just like an old white dude.
Wasn't he like the little? He was like 4'2".
Yeah, he was like
the big old beard that was like
big old
5'6".
He was like super jolly.
Dude.
And Jafar was basically like Bin Laden.
I know.
And then the fucking Gilbert Godfrey was the parrot.
Yago. He was like, That's so funny. I think Bin Laden was like, dude, that guy's got a good look. I'm gonna get that look. You know, everyone already hated Jafar anyway, so it was perfect.
And Jafar was like all tall and skinny, because I'm pretty sure Bin Laden was like 6.
Yeah, he was like 6 foot something plus. Yeah,
he was huge.
I think it's just, it's not funny. Trust me, another thing is funny about that Bin Laden, but I think it's just honestly on some level, it is kind of funny in the sense where like some of your biggest villains, like some of your biggest side characters you remember, like Flounder and Sebastian from Ariel, right?
Under the
Lumiere and Mr. Clocksworth or something like that. Or Mr. Clocksworth. Yeah.
So, you know, Belle, there's one. She's one of the white chicks, but I know who she is. I know her story.
Why is it you knew who she was, though? Is it because like it was our generation more?
Because Celine Dion sang the songs, and I don't like Celine Dion.
No, Celine Dion didn't sing that one, did she? I thought it was like Angela Lansbury that like, tale us all this time.
thought that was Celine Dion. She sang at least something from that movie. I thought
probably.
I could be totally.
She did
wrong.
Titanic, bro. She did Titanic, dog.
I thought that was you.
No. I wish
there was enough room on that goddamn door for 2 people. By the way,
yeah, there was.
He didn't need to die. You don't need to kill Leo.
Dude, honestly, the fact that he was like half floating in the water. No, I think it was like the balance though. Man, imagine 2 people getting on that door, sunk it.
Ironically, he died, yet his career thrived. She lived, yet her career died.
Oh, take that, Kate Winslet.
Yeah,
you should have been one. I'm gonna go out with him.
You kind of peaked in that movie.
You know what though? But that's like, if you were gonna go out on one movie, you might as well go out on the biggest gross box office grosser of all time.
I don't think most people. I don't think most of the actors in that movie made a lot of money.
Yeah, Billy.
The only one that made a ton of money was Leo, and that was because he was so savvy.
Already on the way up.
Well, sure, but
he was like the modern day Vinny Chase.
But he negotiated his contract to get a piece of all the proceeds.
How did you know that?
I heard it somewhere.
Oh.
I could look it up to make sure it's true. But yeah, I believe he made so much money because he actually got a piece of the proceeds, and he took I think he took a smaller paycheck up front for a piece of the proceeds, and he ended up making, I believe, a shit ton of money off that movie.
Damn, good for him. You know what? I'm going to tell you this because I'm not one to like brag or whatever, but trust me, back in the day when I was younger and I was living in Los Angeles, the city of angels. I had met somebody and I was dating her and I really, really liked her a lot. But here's the deal. That was back then. And I remember her mom was like a semi-well-to-do, successful actress. Like she was very, very good. And she was on this very, very popular show in the 1970s. Regardless, it was like one of the things was is that like me and the person at the time, we were just kind of hanging out. And this was years later. This was obviously in the 2000s. So it was like 30 years later or something like that. And we were just sitting down, we were like kind of watching TV, and then we were watching like Nick at Night, and it came on. And like one of the things is that she's like, "Oh, look." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is your show. This is your show." And like we would see her like come on in like as a stage scene, like, "Hey," you know, she'd like, "Oh," she'd like, here's your dinner, honey," or whatever, you know, something like that. Something simple, like a simple line or something like that. And I was like, and then she's like, "Oh, mommy, there you are. You look so pretty." Like, you know, and that to me was like such a surreal moment because I was like, "Oh my God." You know, I always like credit actors for trying, like going after their dream, etc., like whatever, and that's great, awesome. But here's the craziest part, though. In a movie as successful as Titanic or any other movie that's been really, really successful, etc., if you take somebody like that, they're frozen in time forever, and especially in a well-known movie like that. You know? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Name one person that hasn't seen Titanic. Name one person that hasn't seen Titanic multiple times. I couldn't find you one.
Well,
you know
I've definitely only seen it one time.
Have you really only seen it one time?
Yes.
You mean to tell me when the holiday season rolls around and it's the only thing playing on Christmas Day all the time on like TNT or AMC or whatever?
No.
Like you only... Okay.
No.
Well, then...
Not a chance.
But everyone's at least seen it once. And like my only point about this is this simply like, how cool is that? Forever and ever and ever until the day you die. Until the day you die, you are frozen in time for not just like one person to see, not for 2 people to see, but for like a generation of people to see, a generation of people to know.
Your voice is now frozen in time.
For the dozens and dozens of listeners.
And dozens, all 24 listeners, your voice is frozen in time.
Or for the 12 people that are just listening to it twice over.
So when you sound like this, you're like, "Hello, child. My name is
I was cool once.
I used to be cool.
No, but
now I'm in this horrible nursing home."
But it was so cool, though, to like honestly have that moment for that person that I was like seeing at the time, to have her mom frozen like that forever.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
She has since passed away, and this is very, very unfortunate. But I will tell you, she's a very, very nice woman, and I have nothing but the nicest things and fondest memories of her. But one of the things I would like to say is that like, for her daughter, it's always like, if the grandkids always ask like, what was grandma like, or what was, you know, whatever like, and she could just literally pop in a DVD or YouTube, and like she can show them like, that was grandma. Like, how cool is that mentally? That's like, that blows you away. Like, oh, was grandpa a good guy or bad guy? No, he was an actor, and he was in this really, really successful movie.
See, Steve, now your grandchildren, when they ask that question, you're like, well, hold on. I think his stuff's still on iTunes.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Your grandpa was an asshole.
I know, and that's it.
Or is an asshole.
Why did he was friends with these 2 busters?
Yeah.
Why is Grandpa's voice so high? Why does it sound like this? Why does it sound like Andy Rooney? Andy Rooney was a 60 Minutes reference.
Wow.
But yeah, no, none of our listeners, for the dozens and dozens of listeners, just that's it.
For
that's
the
my wrestling.
tens and tens of dozens of listeners.
For the single-digit listeners that are out there, this is what it is.
You.
But that's like, man, that's the craziest part. And that was like one of the moments where I'm truly, truly, truly jealous because in all honesty, you can make millions of dollars. You can have your name etched on the side of a building, but to have like lasting video of you forever, not just like on your home records or whatever, but for people to actually enjoy and to get entertainment out of and to like make their day better, like in that form and fashion, I'm jealous of, man. That's so cool.
But think about with YouTube now. So many more
Sure.
people. I mean, and it may only have 100 views, but whatever. It's still there forever.
No, for sure. But like I think about like back in the when there was only like 3 majors back then, CBS, ABC, and NBC. You were like working with those 3 majors, and like if you had a show on it, everybody watched it because you didn't have anything else to do. Like everything closed up at 6 p.m. And so you sat around, with the family at 7 p.m. like watching TV after you ate your TV dinner.
Nothing else was there.
There's nothing else, right? And so it's like the coolest thing in the world to see that and to like have, like I said, affect a generation or have seen a generation. Like that's cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. There's where I'm coming from. Same probably with music too.
Yeah.
I mean, what did Grandpa or what did Grandma like to do? What did Great Grandpa used to say? What was he like?
Oh, let me play you this gangster rap from 1994.
I was gonna say it sounded better when it's a country song, like talking about yearning, like unrequited, like love. But then, yeah, I guess it's like
here's a recording of your grandpa after he was worth $5 million, talking about losing his horse and his coffee and all this, and losing his house.
I once heard a little story about like a little snippet about Will Smith, right? And he was like, if someone asked Will Smith, and mind you, you can hate Will Smith for like all of his cheesy rap, you know what I mean? But like, it was like, oh, why don't you do like hardcore gangster rap or something like that? And then Will Smith always said, hey, my mom always told me, I mean, I don't want to hear you talking about nothing like, degrading women and like calling women bees on record, you know what I mean? And like, talking about how you're doing all these dirty, nasty, loose women or something like that. I don't want you to have that on record like for the rest of your life. And like to some degree, like I can respect that so much now. Because like, yeah, I mean,
although you look at like Ice Cube, I was going to say he could have never really made the transition to like wholesome kids movies and stuff. And then I'm like, wait a minute, Ice Cube is in a bunch of like kids like kid-friendly.
Are we there yet?
Are
we there yet
too? And he was, one of the original NWA members.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just kind of funny. Well, and then you look at Ice-T. He
Law and Order.
Didn't he sing the song Cop Killer?
Yeah,
and now he's on Law and Order. He plays a cop. Irony? Maybe.
Oh man, those houses in the Hollywood Hills got to be paid somehow. That mortgage needs to be paid somehow, man.
Well,
everyone's got a price.
Credit to Dick Wolf. That guy's a genius.
Yeah, everyone's got a price, man.
The guy, he did all the Law and Orders, and now he does all the whole Chicago franchise, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD,
which is like Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes they're just like two.
Shonda Rhimes does like she did like what Grey's Anatomy and Scandal and
two NBC entity Revenge, two NBC entities that just keep on cranking.
Didn't she do like how to commit murder?
Oh, how to get away with murder.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Crazy.
But also,
Grey's Anatomy was a huge show. As a medical professional, have you ever watched that show?
Oh, yeah. I watched the first, like, horrible? I think 8 seasons, and then was like after that or something like that. I was just like, the storyline.
I've never asked a nurse, but the few physicians I've asked about it, they all hate that show.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because I don't necessarily know, I mean, if it's as truthful or as accurate as, like,
honestly, talking to a lot of, like, residents and, like, physicians who are still kind of in the grind, they have all, at least most of them, concur that Scrubs is the most realistic medical show on TV.
I've heard that as well from some of the physicians that I work with as well. But I will tell you that I don't necessarily know if there's as much fooling around, hanky-panky, whatever you want to call it, in the resident world as is allotted for.
They're too tired.
They're too tired.
They're too tired, too overworked, too poor.
I know. The medical residents that I've ever worked with are all just so busy, like all the time. Like they're just tired. They're like walking zombies. And I'll be like, "Hey man, what are you on?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm on a 36." You know what I mean? Like they just like they have to spend days and days and days at the hospital. Like,
and the funny thing about that, but they have nothing else to do, and they make $30,000 a year living in Southern California. You're broke. That's not even enough to survive.
You broke, man.
So, but here's the thing:
they could be a bartender at BJ's and like make way more money.
Probably, they could be but here's the thing, though: when you get out, especially if you're like a surgical resident, like you go from making $30,000 a year to making a lot more,
$230,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then you have to get there, and like it's a competitive field, just like it all. And like you're talking about, these are the smartest people that have had that opportunity, have had that advantage, or have had that situation like bestowed upon them. And it's up to them to like, whether or not they want to like, step into that role. And like, that's a crazy.
Well, and I don't know if there's that much hanky-panky going on in the real resident world, but I will say that I think the idea of having to kind of detach yourself a little bit and keep things light Because if you get too down in the whole like caring about everything a little too much, like that's a black hole.
Yeah, it'll just bury you.
You have to have some humor about stuff,
dude. That's like something
because
that's like,
people gonna die.
Yeah, but that's so applicable to everybody else that's like listening too. I mean, to their assigned profession, whether they're passionate about it or not.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just not being buried by like, even in the good times. You know when something's so good, right? When like things are going so well and you're like, yeah, you're all about it. I feel like you have to watch yourself in that moment too, because you can get burnt out with that too, right? Like the one thing that goes wrong, or like, you know, your team starts like losing like one game. Oh no, we're our whole season's over. Or like, oh no, we had a bad week. Oh no, I didn't make my sales numbers. Everything's over. And I'm just like, no, I mean, you just had a bad week. So like, you got to keep everything in check almost. Like even when the good times are rolling, you got to like enjoy it, because like, you know, they're bad times.
You have to enjoy it, but also someone once told me, when things are going good, work harder, because when they're not, you're not going to want to.
Yeah, that's probably
and there's
true.
a lot of truth to that.
No, there's probably so much truth to that.
It's like when you have a little bit of momentum, you know, you keep it going. Like,
no, for sure, because you can't getting things started at a dead stop,
dude.
It's impossible.
That's like you know, the other Wednesday, you know, I did a meeting for one of my reps.
Yeah.
And I walked into a fucking minefield that I was not expecting.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
I got my teeth kicked in like hardcore. But the funny thing is, I got my teeth kicked in by the attending, and all the residents were sitting there just watching it happen. And I just saw this kind of like this look of horror on their eyes, but also this understanding. I could tell like they're like, oh, he feels what we feel every day. Like I could see it was like walking into the home of like a beaten child who just like gives you that look like
help. Or like, yeah, save
and then
me.
afterwards,
I'm like, I can't.
Afterwards, I feel like there was this like sort of like unspoken kinship, because they all came up to me. They're like, "Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the beating today." Because honestly, we don't. That like, he's tired out now. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible joke. We're not making fun of domestic situation violence at all.
Daddy got tired out beating up the sales rep, so now he's not going to beat us.
I will tell you this much: how it's not courageous, because it's your job, right? You shouldn't be congratulated or like slapped on the back, patted on the back for doing what's expected of you. But one of the things I will tell you though is that there is something to say about you knowing that you're walking into a nasty situation, whatever it may be. And this is to all of our listeners as well. Like, this is just a kind of like a little championing moment for you, and how I'm going to like give you some praise here. You knew that it probably wasn't as great. You know, you knew that was, if it was 50-50 at best, maybe it was on the latter side of the 50 or the under 50, right? And you still walked in there and you were still able to be just like, I'm going to own up to it. I'm not going to try and razzle dazzle anybody. I'm literally just going to just say, hey, we messed up. I'm just going to come out open and honest and clean. And like, this is it, you know? Because it's important, man. It's impressive. Sometimes people just like back under the pressure and they go, oh, okay, I'll do anything. I'll be a jokester and I'll sell.
Or try to make excuses or try to pass the buck. No, I think that was, you know, we talk about Jocko all the time, and it's, you know, his whole thing is extreme ownership. And I mean, I try to live by that. It just like, I don't know, like just being accountable for shit.
Yeah. Even if it's not your own.
There was a lot of, in this particular scenario, there was a lot of accountability that did not belong to me, but I just took it all because why not? I was able to, and I knew it was the best. It was the best scenario.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to go. I can not go in there again, but you know, my guy needs to go in there again. So
yeah.
I didn't need to blame anything on him. I needed to take all the blame myself, so I can be the bad guy and he can be the good guy, and that's
bad
fine.
guy.
You're the bad guy. Fucking cockroaches.
I know. You know what's so funny is that we literally went from talking about Disney princesses to
ownership. Yeah, accountability.
That's how we do things at the project.
We can't even steer away from these good topics if we want to.
No, we can't.
No,
it's in our blood.
It's in our blood to just like motivate you.
Maybe you're listening to this and you said, hey, I did have a thought about Disney princesses this morning, but also I had to go into a work situation where I had to take onus of what I was doing. Wow, this podcast is really hitting on all my nerves.
Owning shit is hard.
Oh, dude.
It's the hardest thing you could possibly do, but I will almost guarantee that almost all the time, it's going to have the best results.
You know, I will tell you this much, and I'm going to you just struck a nerve. You just struck a memory nerve. Beep, boop, 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 within me. You know what's so funny is that I used to have this neighbor, Kate. Love her to death. She like lived right across the street from me. She was in your grade, actually. And you know what's so funny? We used to just like go. We used to like just play like in the front yard, like because we had like two matching adjoining front yards, and you know, just like neighborhood kids, right?
Yeah.
And one time, like, you know, I was always just a tall tale teller, you know, when I was like in high school, and you just get caught up underneath the lies, and you got to keep the lies up sometimes, you know, and all this sort of stuff. I remember one time Kate was like, "You just lie so much." She's like, honestly, I just need you to like just be honest and be. And that's like sometimes like some words that can only come from somebody that is that close, that is within like the closer folds of your like life. And she was like, well, to say that. And honestly, ever since then, I've just been like kind of just straight up with like certain situations and certain things where I'm just like, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. I don't like this. I don't, and it's very freeing. I got to be honest with you,
dude. Or how about
the truth sets you free? Sure, that's like that term's been out there forever, but it's so true.
It's hard
because you got to keep up with the lies,
it's easier
baby.
At the time, but yes, keeping up with the lies is fucking bitch.
Damn.
And or like dude, you got, let's say, dude, when I think most people have probably been here. You keep getting calls from that creditor, someone that you owe money to, right? Yeah. Dude, it's you avoid that call, but then the anxiety just builds and it builds. And
oh
builds
my
gosh!
Builds.
Finally, you just answer that call, and you're like, "Look,
hey, I don't
have the money now.
I'm trying.
I will pay you half of it next Friday." And you do so, and then all of a sudden you are like the weight's been lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Wow, that wasn't that hard." Kind of like I could have gone in there and made a bunch of fucking excuses or whatever.
Yeah,
it was a lot harder to just be like,
right?
You know what, Doc, I fucked up.
Yep.
That's on me. How can we fix this?
Even if it's not like fully your fault, it has your name on it. But it's part of your parent name, right? Your parent company name. Like, that's our fault. This is what we got to take ownership of. This is what we take responsibility for. And dude, honestly, like that's it. When you feel like you're irresponsible, I feel like you almost grab back that wheel again sometimes, and like
change.
You start direct. You can, Of the it's hard. Meeting. Maybe it's hard to turn that wheel.
A lot of it was on their. It was on there. It was them. It was all on them. But if I had pointed that out or spent time pointing that out, like some people would have, that would have derailed everything.
Sure.
And I would have lost it.
Yeah.
But I just, it's like, dude, sometimes it's just easier to like, look, be the bigger man.
But grab the wheel again, baby.
Grab the wheel.
Yeah. Because like,
and by just falling on the sword, sometimes you get the control back. Because people don't expect that shit. And they're like, what?
Isn't that crazy? Like, honestly, there's some times where you're just like, oh, something's like building up with you in the office. Maybe someone's looking at you raw, or maybe someone said a passive aggressive comment, or whatever it may be, or maybe you are running away from that creditor, or maybe like you can't pay that bill, or you can only pay $10 at a time. Man, sometimes it's all it takes, dude, is just to like kind of just like steer it in a different direction, or at least to just get some like weight off of your shoulders, your chest, dude. I swear.
Well, then you take back the control.
Yeah. God. That's kind of like one of the most important kind of like lessons I feel like is that, dude, honestly, ever since then, I'm so lucky to have had her in that moment to like at least just be open and honest with me about that. Because people sometimes will be like, oh, that's like, I have a guy right now and he's one of my closest friends at work and he's just like lying through his teeth and the lies are just so heavy. They're so heavy that they finally got back to me, which is like, okay, oh, dude, yeah, I was there with him, or I talked to him about this way long ago. You know what I mean? Like, it finally came back to me, and I was like, dude, when it came back to me, I was like, this is too much. Like, this is too heavy now. This is like, how did it get to this point where it continued on all the way to the, it's like, oh, and I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to like out anybody. That's not the purpose of what I do. I'm there to go to work, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh, dude, sometimes if you were just honest about this situation at the very beginning, it wouldn't affect all the side or ancillary people that are like invested in you too. And like, that's it too. Just, there's one thing about saving your own ass. Sure. I get it. No, you'll never find fault with that. But also save the people around you though too. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's like digging your way out of a hole, which that never made any sense to me.
Or lift it. Yeah. No, but
like climb out of the hole. Don't dig. Why would you keep digging if you're already in a hole? But I feel like that's what the lies are. Like you're like digging to try and find a way out. And you're like, well, maybe if I keep digging, I'll get to China.
Whoa.
And then I can see Steve's family. Whatever. But I feel like that's what ends up happening. You turn a pothole into a giant, eventually a
crater
or a crater.
Yeah, a grave. Actually, that's a perfect
turn it into a grave, and then you're just sitting in your own
from potholes to the grave.
Hole.
But yeah,
I think it's easier to just take some accountability, and maybe this is a discredit to humanity, but most people don't expect that. So sometimes just be like, sorry, I fucked up. That can go a long way.
No, for sure.
Because people don't expect that.
Hey, man, look, I'm going to come real with you. I'm just going to shoot you guys straight. I'm not going to try and give you some politically correct or some, like, customer service-based answer. Dude, this is what I messed up on. I'm going to need to do this again, or we're going to need to look at this again, or... if someone said that to me and I was in a medical thing or a bank thing or a whatever thing, I'd be like, oh, okay, well... So long as we get it right, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm concerned about, you know what I mean?
For
sure. So long as we do it right, or so long as we start off again right, I will tell you that, like, I used to date somebody and she would not let a mistake go. She was not let a mistake go. And I remembered, like, trying to correct her, steer the ship.
She would not let a mistake that you made go?
Yeah.
What about when she made a mistake?
Oh, no, because I liked her that much that I was like, okay, like, that's fine. Like,
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, and it's just like, and like, trust me, it took me a while to get to that point where it was like so many fights and so many forgiveness and so many things, and it was just like so much. It was so hard, and I remember just going back and forth that I was like, at that point, I was like, hey, look, I like you, obviously. I'm still in it. I'm actively choosing, like, right, to still be with you. I'm like trying to do this with you. So obviously I forgive you for any mistake that you have, but I'm going to ask that you forgive me for any mistake that I've done. And let's start brand new. Let's start at this level. We can start today, right here, right now. This is our new platform. And I remember it would go for like maybe like 30 minutes. You're like, okay, I'm going to really, really try and work on it. And he's like, no, you did this and you did that and you did this. And it wasn't like, trust me, like it happened at the beginning of our relationship, and then this was like years later, and I was like, why are we still talking about this? Like, we're still wasting so much more time on this.
Yeah.
And then she would always be like, wondered, like, why are you so frustrated? Why are you you're so short with me sometimes? And I'm like,
because of you.
No, and I'm like saying, I don't want to be short with you. That's not what I'm trying to be. But like, honestly, I'm trying to push this thing forward. But every single time you bring me back to square one by not forgiving me. And then like, I've already taken ownership of it. I tell you, I'm going to do everything. I'm already honest with you. I'm beyond honest with you. Now that there's like now that like the big secret was out of the way, full transparency, that's what it was all about. But yeah, at the same time, like you said, if you're not willing to just kind of own up to it, if you're not willing to take responsibility for it, you can't control what the other person does.
No.
Maybe they say they fucking quit it and call it quits. But at least you could say, hey man, I gave you everything I had. Yeah. I was fully transparent with you. Maybe not initially, maybe not in the beginning. Maybe I tried to make too many corrections. Maybe I tried to make a correction on a mistake. I don't know, whatever it was. But trust me, like, it's not like for like lack of heart or interest or honesty. Like, I wanted to make things right by you make things right with you guys. But yeah. So honestly, that's where my mind was at. Damn, these princesses just got me going, man. They got me juiced. Man, well, let's make a roundabout. Was there any lie that was ever told to Princess? Like that beast ever tell Belle what's up?
Well, didn't Sleeping Beauty fall asleep because she ate an apple? I don't think they told her it was a poison apple.
Oh, snap. Or Ursula, when Ursula was trying to play that game on the Ariel, and she was like, if you marry a human being, doesn't she have to get like a few drops of blood from a walkabout
She was
lander?
a fucking scary ass bitch, so I'll tell you that.
Ursula. She had tentacles, for God's sake. She was half octopus, half obese
witch
purple woman. You know? Yeah, what are you going to do?
Bitch-to-push?
A witch to put... if that's not with you, Webster, it should be.
Yeah,
it should be.
We're gonna put it in the
Webster's
Websterary
bank of quotationers.
Put an Urban Dictionary. Here we come.
Hey man, if you're listening to this private B-side record, honestly, this is just us going off, and this is just feeding us off on one another. But I will tell you, hey, if you got something out there that you're just harboring a lot of guilt on, or maybe you're just harboring on the inside, or maybe you just feel like, maybe I don't know, just take ownership of it, man. Grab control of the wheel again. That's all I'm going to tell you. You know, this is your life.
The truth will set you free. Even if it's not the truth, sometimes you just have to own up to shit that really isn't even your fault.
Yeah.
Just because it makes things better, because nobody else is willing to. And you have to get that shit moved out of the way.
But sometimes
so
that's
we can
true
move on.
Leadership, though, right? Though, too.
Exactly.
About it. You know, like,
exactly.
Oh, it's not my fault, but you know what? I represent this. I represent the brand. I represent
right.
whatever we're putting forward. My name is on it. I'm affiliated with this thing, or, you know.
Or even if that's not the case, even if it's not, like, directly related to your leadership, but sometimes it's just easier to, I mean, like, you know, your situation. You kind of accepted responsibility for both of you on that one.
Oh. You know?
And that gave her a chance to kind of wipe both slates clean. She could have done a lot with that, but she didn't.
And she didn't. And you know what? Maybe, obviously, you know, and one of the things I will tell you that even if the other side does not do anything, one of the most important things is that I wish and hope for every single time when I think about it. I'm thinking that maybe in the future, maybe that person who is on the receiving end of like your ownership and leadership, like says, oh man, well, that's a pretty brave move. I have a moment to like kind of collect my thoughts on it. I can respect that. Maybe I should do something like that in the future if that should ever happen. So that's all, man. All you can do is just be a beacon for other people.
No, I think that's a very possible reality.
For sure.
Or sometimes you just take a beating in front of a bunch of beaten people, and then maybe you just give them some solace in seeing someone else get beaten.
There it is too.
Yeah,
that's also positive too.
Take the licks, because I mean, it didn't hurt me.
Doesn't hurt you. But
no.
Yeah.
And I think a good ass whooping is good for the soul occasionally.
dude, it makes you humble.
Exactly.
And dude, I will tell you that there's so many people out there that are just a little too high and mighty sometimes. You were but a speck of sand on like this timeline of life. Like,
yeah.
Trust me, you, as much as whatever you created in this world, like oh, I created this app that did nothing.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Oh, I created MySpace. What?
Cool. Cool. Mm-hmm. That's all I got, people. That's all I got.
But yeah, no, I think, I think, you know, I don't know that I needed to be knocked down a few pegs or anything the other day, but it's still good. It's still good to be, you know, have your teeth kicked in every now and then.
Dude, I will say that I think that you did the right thing. I will say that it is very, very brave of you to enter in a for lack of better words, like a lion's den, and for you to still have come out on it and still have perspective on it. I think you won.
It's kind of fun.
Well, there it is. And now you get off on it.
Well, it's like, I mean, you know, it's like. Now, granted, sometimes things go sideways, but like,
sure,
isn't like a difficult case that comes through the ER doors like kind of. I don't want to say fun because you're fucking with someone's life a little bit, but
no, but it's a rush because you get to use your skill set.
Someone who you're like, there's a good chance they're not going to make it. Like, is that? Do you enjoy that kind of that challenge a little bit?
I will tell you that, like, I would say 90% of my work, you don't use like the skill set in which you're trained for, right? You know, because you're just like, oh, it's all reactionary stuff, or like it's all simple stuff that you've seen 10,000 times.
90% of most people's work.
Sure, I'm no doubt, or not, if not higher. But I will tell you that one kind of case that comes in, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, you're gonna have to. You're like the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you're like your heart starts beating a little faster. You're like, wow, this is gonna be a good one because this is gonna test the heck out of me. And it's not only gonna test the heck out of me, like. With my mental thinking about like, I don't know, pathophysiology and how things are developing or how things are going to go, but it's also going to test my skill set. Like, how am I going to get a line on this dude? How am I going to jumpstart this guy? How am I going to get this guy back on the right track, so to speak, for his health? And you're like, oh, I know this from that. I know this from my experience. And I know I've seen this happen before in a case study. And so you're really, really kind of like really cranking with all of your knowledge. And that's great because that's when you like, that's when you're really spending out the dough right now, your mental dough. You know, you're like, oh, this is great. So I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
very, very
that's
rare.
what that was to me. But you have someone's life in your hands.
You also have someone else's life in your hands too. I mean, think about it. You like someone like loses their job, they can't pay for the kids.
That's true. That's true.
Dude, you know, it's just different frames.
That's
different
true.
Frames of reference.
That's true.
Different frames
That's
of
true.
thought. But man.
Oh, do you have to intubate?
No, I don't intubate.
You don't?
No.
Who does? Is that a doctor thing?
Doctors and resis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think this
Can't paramedics do that though?
Yeah, paramedics can do it.
Okay.
But I think it's like a California state law thing, you know. And trust me, I wouldn't want that responsibility on me either, though.
What about a trach?
No, same doctor. Yeah, because it's a very, very invasive procedure.
So paramedics are trained to do certain invasive procedures if they're needed to keep them alive to get to the hospital.
Correct, for stabilization. Yeah.
Because paramedic doesn't really have any more training than you do, right?
I think it's just it's all different paradigms. It's all different kind of thoughts, right? It's like, I don't know, how do I say this best? Everyone's an athlete, right? Like, I think that if you saw a football player and a basketball player right next to each other, you would say that they're very, very healthy. I think you would say that they know how to run 100 yards, no problem. And they know how to lift weights, sure. But like their specialization is like one can obviously, sack somebody, or someone can hit a hockey puck 100 miles an hour, or someone can shoot a basketball 3-pointer, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's different specializations,
What about a pneumothorax?
If I was out in the field, I've learned how to do it.
What about a hemothorax?
That's different because you need to have actually a chest tube to like suck out the blood. Yeah.
What a pneumothorax is what is a pneumothorax?
Pneumothorax is a differential
air in the
pressure.
cavity.
That's correct. Yeah.
And then a hemothorax is blood in the chest cavity.
Blood in replacement of the air. Yeah. But yeah, damn dude, look at you, bro.
Fancy.
I know you are. You really are.
I know things. I listen. I pay attention.
Oh, thank you very much, listeners. That's just a B-side roll.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
So, we'll leave you with that, y'all.
Hemo and pneumothorax. That's right.
Now you learned what a pneumothorax is, and a hemothorax, and a tracheotomy, and intubation tubes. That weird little duck thing they use. It's just, I don't get it. You have to explain that to me.
What weird little duck thing?
They have the weird little thing with the little thing, and stick the thing in. The
stylet
and the tube. Is that the metal thing?
Oh,
does that just guide the tube through the throat?
No, it opens up your trachea here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just kind of like send something down there. Yeah, so you can guide the the ET tube, the endotracheal tube down.
Endotracheal tube.
Yeah. Ooh.
This has been the medical hour. So we've gone from Disney princesses to to weird stories about weird racist stories about Santa Claus
To
and
business professionals
and talking about ownership and accountability to medical procedures.
This is
and the
exactly what a
difference
B-side
between
traction
nurses and paramedics.
sound like.
So you're welcome, y'all. Have a good one. Be good. And go get after it, whatever it is.
Yep.
And this is Tim and Steve signing off.
Go Fleet.
Later.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
Someday my prince will come. Someday I'll find my love, and he'll thrill the heart of me. When the prince of my dreams comes to me, he'll whisper, I love you, and steal a kiss or two, though he's far away. We'll find my love someday when dreams come true. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. I know you, the gleam in your eyes is so familiar a gleam. Yet I know it's true that visions are set above the sea. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. And I'm ready to know what the people know. Ask them my questions and get some answers. What's a fire and why does it? What's the word? Burn. When's it my turn? When I love to explore that shore up above. Out of the sea, wish I could be part of that world. Look at me, I will never pass for a perfect bride or a perfect daughter. Can it be? I'm not meant to play this part. Now I see that if I were truly to be myself, I would break my family's heart. Who is that girl I see? people look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bucket why he grinned? We need to sing with all the voices of the mountain. We need to paint with all the colors of the wind. You can own the earth and still all you'll own is earth until